this actually. There we go. You need this though.
Let's see if this works.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, that works. Whoa, you're so loud. You're really loud.
How's that?
Hold on, give me a second, real quick.
Is that any better?
Yeah, a little bit better. Give me a second. I need to mute you real quick. Just kind of. All right. Okay, sorry about that. Let me unmute you now. Unmute. Unmute. How the heck do I? Can you say something?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's better. That's a lot better. Cool. Man, I hate this setup. What the hell? All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Let me see Matt. Try to get Matt Rose in here.
So are you filming through your phone or webcam?
On my webcam. See how it goes. How did we do it before? I don't remember how we did it before.
You know, we've done it a different way every time. It
Dude,
feels like.
the best way we've done it is Instagram. That was the most we've
Is
ever.
that the easiest?
It was easy for only 2 people. 3 people, it's impossible. Oh, Matt. Let me try actually sharing this invite. Okay. Yeah, dude, when we did Instagram, it was just 2 people. It was amazing.
I'm just sure it's a lot easier with anything with just 2 people, right?
Yeah. 3 people. I don't know 3 people. I don't know how to do it. I just don't know. I don't know how to do it.
Because can you put that? Can we move Google Hangouts, the visual, to Facebook?
I can, but I'm lazy. It's like a complicated process. It's like video game streaming, the pro way. So I can, but I haven't set it up for that. I mean, I probably should, but
Give me a second. I'm here though. Still good?
mm-hmm. Oh man. All right. Matt, you in here yet? Not yet. Matty Ice. Links. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. Can actually just get rid of that, right? Like we could. This is so lame. I hate this. You're kidding me, dude. This is the lamest thing ever. I hate this. Why?
Is the issue the visual or the audio?
No, I just have too many like because I had to use my laptop to do Google Hangouts. It's like where it's I had to push my keyboard back and now I can't type my keyboard. Yeah, I'm gonna set it up for pro. I'm gonna set up the pro way next time, dude. I'm gonna use OBS. Have you heard of OBS before?
No.
It's called Open Broadcasting Software. It's basically how the like pro streamers stream their stuff.
Okay.
It's free, but I just have to set it up and then have the Facebook stream key and then set it up so I capture. It's basically capturing the window of the PC. That way, I can just.
Okay, I gotcha.
I'm gonna,
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna do that, dude. I didn't want to, but I thought there'd be an easier way. But it's gonna have to come to that. Okay. Share now. All right. Share that. Why isn't he in here yet? Is he not in here yet? Let me see.
Matthew, you here?
No.
You here, Matthew?
He joined
Dude,
earlier. That's so funny. He joined and then he left.
it's a bicycle built for two.
This is like the simplest thing to do. I don't understand. Cameraman. Who's a cameraman? You can be a cameraman? That's really cool. That's cool. I don't understand. Let me look. I'm watching our stream. Looks pretty good. Are you able to see our stream?
On Facebook?
Um. Yeah, I just posted it to Facebook. Let me share it.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, but I just shared the link to Facebook.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's see. I get a call, then I answer, then a screen, and a couple times it says something. Except nothing happens. What? Let me try this again.
I'm just seeing if I can hear myself on the stream.
Can you hear yourself on the stream?
I'm just seeing if I can hear myself on the stream.
There you go. Oh, there you are. He's here. Matt, I see you. Are you here? I see his picture. I just need voice.
Here's something.
Matt, I see you. Are you here?
You see me?
There you go.
Hello?
Yes.
There's little dots that move.
Yeah, there you go. That's okay.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Can you see me?
There you go.
Anything?
Can you hear us? Hello, 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 hello. Hello? Derek, turn your thing off or turn it down or something, because like it's weird like hearing myself like 2 seconds ago.
That's how it always sounds in my headphones. Okay, cool.
I can see Derek's guitar. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
La 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 la.
We can hear you.
La.
Try to see if your volume is all the way up. You have to have headphones. Try headphones. Let me go and chat. Hey.
On headphones.
We can hear
We
you.
can hear him. He just can't hear us.
Yeah, I don't. What is that? That's weird, right?
Well, that's good to know. Let's see. Say something.
Hello.
Can you hear it?
Hello, hello. Oh.
I'm curious if the sound quality is going to be not so good if we're, doing the video at the same time.
Let's see if I can adjust the volume here. Can you hear me yet? I mean, can I?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hang on.
Can hear you. Can you hear us?
If there, definitely have sound.
Yeah, you definitely have sound.
I wonder if I do something with the settings. Hang on, let's see. I can't change that. Here we go.
Hello. Derek, can you say something?
See?
Yep. Here. Did you? I don't see the text stuff. Did you let him know about the headphones?
Yes.
Let's see here.
There should be maybe a setting.
The settings up at the top, next to the hang up button.
Yeah. Is it going through?
No, I just got the default.
Okay.
Let's do that.
I don't know. We can hear you though. That's weird.
Why would that?
Do you hear that, Derek?
Ooh, control room. Oh, I can't do that one. Q&A.
John, do you think it's something as simple as he has to click on the bottom? Did he accept everything?
What do you mean?
When it says allow my voice to be.
Can you see me too?
We can't see. Oh, he can't hear us. We can't see your webcam. Profile pic. What do you say, Derek? Only. What does he have to press?
Well,
okay, right. Because
I'm just curious if he's got us on mute. Because everything else is working, and I'm wondering if it's the.
I don't know. How can I find out if I have you on mute?
on our photo.
Click on our video.
Drop down. Click on mute.
Click mute. I muted Bad Catholic Dads. Now I've unmuted Bad Catholic Dads.
Let's see if that works. Can you hear?
No, it looks like you're on.
Hello. Derek, can you still hear me?
I can still hear you beautifully.
What? Come on, mate. All right, try rejoining.
It looks like you're not being muted. Try rejoining. Okay, so hang up and then come back in.
Come on. Technology. Why don't you ever work when we want you to work? The stupidest thing ever.
It's just never easy, is it? It's never. You know, it's the second level. You know, it's the first level is getting the audio to work. We've done that. Now it's the second level. It's difficult. You know, it's the second world in Dark Souls.
Oh, looks like we'll have to hire someone else just for this job, dude. Okay. Hopefully that works. We'll see. Oh, did you see the show notes? I have the show notes up. You can add anything you want to it.
I can hear you. Oh, you're listening back.
I'm listening to the stream. Just
Yeah, I hear.
Okay, well, he's probably never coming back. Great chat. Facebook. Okay, I'm gonna post this to Twitter now. Twitter.
Do you think for the Q&A, do you think that should be before the that's part of getting to know him?
Because
it's about the ones that you have about like teaching theology.
Yeah, I mean, I just put a bunch of questions there. Like if he answers them, I just skip them when we get to that part. But mostly the Q&As for like live questions. Like if people have like live questions for us, or if you have any questions that pop up. NFP, it's gonna be awesome. So I read a lot of stuff about like Humanae Vitae and NFP. It was pretty like awesome to like just reread and kind of even just what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for?
Refresh.
Refresh, but also like
reinvigorate.
Yeah, maybe. Reinforce, I guess.
Or one of the re's.
It is a reword. It's like when like basically like it's like I don't know. It's good. A lot of stuff. I was reading different points of view and different things.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing it. It was something that I thought would be really like good given the week, you know? The NFP week, man. Who would have known?
You didn't know that? I think I said this to you last year and you made a similar joke, I think.
I've never heard NFP week. There's
so many different weeks now, dude. Like go hug your dog week, you know what I mean?
Go put your dog to sleep week too.
Put your dog to sleep week.
Get strong week. All right.
Is he back?
No, he hasn't joined yet.
Okay. Where's he at? Let's find out where he's at.
There you go.
Now I'm as somebody else.
Better.
Now I'm as my other email.
We can hear you.
Can you hear us? Matt. No.
Do we need to skip to old school and just do podcasts rather than video?
Matt. Hello. Hello, Matthew. Why? Do I have him muted or something?
No, because I could hear him. We can hear him. He just can't hear us, so it's on his end.
How do I unmute someone? Oh my gosh, this is like sucks, dude. Hello? Hello? Matt Rose. Matt Rose. Matt. Hey, try going to control. Do you think? Ooh, I wonder if it's in his settings, Derek.
In his settings.
Like his actual settings. Maybe he's got like share screen.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear us?
Hello?
Share screen.
Share screen.
I think it might
Showcase.
in your computer settings.
Entire screen.
All right, we're gonna look at the screen. Ready?
Choose what you like.
Because if he goes into sound settings, you have a PC, Derek? You have a thing. You have a Google.
Yeah, I'm just going through the Chromebook.
I'm trying to think.
Hey? Oh.
Oh, there we go. I see. Okay. Wait.
How did you do that? He had headphones on.
Okay. Whatever that is, get rid of that.
Show.
Get rid of that. Get rid of that program. Whatever the USB video device program.
Wait, how did you do that?
I'm sharing. He shared a screen. We're looking at a screen. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. Something happened.
There you go. I see him now. Yeah.
Hello?
Can you see?
I closed the USB program.
Okay. Okay. We can see you now.
Or the video thing.
See him now.
Oh, hi.
We can't hear him. Can you hear us?
But I still can't hear you.
Why?
No, I can't.
To your
Can you hear me?
settings.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Go to my sound settings. Yes, you can hear me. Like the volume control on the computer or the settings on.
Try computer first.
Try a computer first. All right.
You
Anything I should be looking for?
yes. Go to playback.
Playback.
It. And then make sure your default device is your headset or
Yes.
that. The USB headset. If it's a USB headset, you gotta make sure your playback default device is clicked on that.
I don't think it's giving me that option.
What kind? Is it a USB headset?
No, it's just a plug-in kind of like a headphone jack, but a mic jack.
It won't work. Try unplugging it.
Oh man,
It's not going to work because it's not a USB headset. Does that make sense, Derek?
Yeah, I think it has. Yeah.
If you put it on his phone, it would work. Phone, it will. But headset. Yeah, because he still sounds the same, doesn't he? Say something. Yeah, doesn't he still sound the same?
I think so.
I think he already unplugged it. Can you hear us now?
My question is how is he going to hear us without it like circling back
I
at him?
did. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us? Hello? Hello? Hello, hello.
I assume he's doing it through his laptop.
Yeah.
So he has a normal. Yeah, that's the problem, right? It's the microphone thing. Wait, he should be able to hear us though. That's weird that it's working.
It plugged in? Now we can't hear you. No, we can't hear you. Try. Yeah, I think I got it.
All right, we can see you again. All right, we can hear you.
We can hear you. And here. Try going
okay.
to sound. Try getting default device playback to headphones. Or something like headphones.
Okay, hang on.
What's the default device? Correct. Yes. Dude, if this isn't working, like even just regular podcasting is not going to work because he's not even able to hear us right now.
Well, do you think if we go through Skype, if we do it that way, do you think it's a Hangouts thing?
I don't know.
Maybe we should just try this Skype thing.
Hold on, let's give this like 5 more minutes, just see if it works.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just giving options just in case. I'm trying to think if he's plugging in the headphone jack, we can hear him, so the microphone is working. Why wouldn't the headset be?
I'm gonna call him real quick. Gonna give him a call. I'll give him a call through here. we can hear him.
Yeah, would that work? If he turned down the volume on one of them, then we can just converse with him there.
Can
Right?
you hear that ringing? Derek?
Yeah, I can hear it ringing. We're gonna
Hello?
really hear.
Hey, now we can hear you. That's so funny. Hey, I'm sorry this isn't working. Are you on your sound settings? And then you should see like 4 tabs saying playback, recording, sounds, communication, or something like that, right?
So you're talking in the actual computer itself, not the
actual
Hangouts.
I'm gonna mute you real quick. Yeah, there we go. The actual computer itself.
Yeah. So I'm running Windows XP on this thing, by the way. Probably should start with that.
Windows XP.
That's a good
All right. Okay, real quick. Go to your sound settings. Does that make sense, Matt?
Like the audio.
If you see like a audio kind of, or not audio, like a speaker looking thing, just right click that and then go to sounds or sound settings.
Yeah. Yes.
It should bring up a window. What does that window look like?
It's got the volume control, the waves, the since the CD player and PC speakers.
What speakers?
The PC speakers.
What's the default right now?
I mean, just doesn't have a default. It doesn't have an option for defaults.
Can you click on something that's that PC thing?
I'm so confused. Is there a possible way to wait? I'm so confused. What comes up? What comes up for you? Let's turn you up. Yeah, hello. You there?
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
What comes up for you?
When I click on the little speaker thing, so it has the volume control menu, right? It has the main volume control, and then the wave volume control, and the synth, and the CD player's volume control, and there's like the
Okay,
PC
we don't want
we don't
want the volume control. We want like sound, like basically you being able to like click on one of your devices and making it like a default device. So whatever, all your volume will come out of that one default device. So it should be like right click. Okay, on your bottom right hand corner, you should see, I don't know, I can't remember Windows XP, but you should see like some sort of volume thing, right? Like a little speaker with like waves coming out of it.
Right.
If you right click that, what comes up?
So you got the one that says open volume control, which is the thing I was just telling you about, and adjust audio properties.
Try that. That's probably it.
All right. That brings up a little thing.
It brings a window, right?
Let's see. Yeah.
What does the window say?
So it's got some tabs. We've
Yep.
got volume, sound, audio. Let's see. So the default device for the playback is just the same one. It's like the Sigma Tel Audio, which is the audio system for the computer.
What is that? What are the other ones you can choose from?
There's no other options for it.
But if I click on advanced, it brings up speakers and says select the speaker setup that's most like the setup you have on your computer. And it has like desktop, stereo headphones, things like that. So maybe if I try doing stereo headphones.
Maybe try that, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Because we can definitely hear you on our end.
It has to be that.
Okay, that's good to know.
Oh, can you hear Derek in the background? Derek says something?
Yeah, I think it has to be headphones. I think that's
on the phone. No,
not on the phone. Okay.
No, because he doesn't have his headphones on right now. So he clicks on that, John. He needs to.
All right, hang on.
Try it.
All right, so I'm gonna put my headphones back on and see if I can hear anything. Hang on.
Hello. Testing.
And let me see here. Unmuted. I'm not mute. Can you hear me talking?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Alrighty. This ain't working. Can you just use does this computer going back on your phone?
Okay.
Does your computer have a mic built into it?
No. They can get the one downstairs that has a mic built into it, but you can try that.
You have another computer?
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you if you want to try that, because this one's not working.
Right. Why isn't it working? It's weird.
It doesn't make any sense to me, because we can hear you, we can see you.
It really doesn't. If anything, it would make more sense if the if it wasn't working, if like the mic wasn't working, you know what I mean?
The mic,
yeah, that's
perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, like if anything, the mic would make sense if it wasn't working or something like that.
Yeah, the mic's working perfectly. It sounds great, actually.
Oh, that's good.
You can't hear us, which is probably like not a good thing.
That's so weird.
This is weird. Try playing a YouTube video. Can you hear like a YouTube video?
Yeah, I mean, like I can
Hear like do a YouTube video just to make sure, but I can hear like the computer sounds.
Through your headphones.
Yeah. I'm gonna play a YouTube video or get something like that really quickly.
I gave you volume control. So on the left
Yeah.
side, click on control room.
Yeah.
Does that bring up anything? Control room?
Control room.
Yeah, on the left side of your Google Hangouts window.
Yeah, let's see.
On the left side.
I see.
Chat, screensaver, and showcase.
I love
Would
that.
Showcase do something?
What is no?
Is there any way we can make it work with
I
what
don't
we're
know.
hearing
I
right
don't
now?
see anything for showcase. Hang on.
He can't hear you, Derek. Just letting you know.
No, I know that, but
Go
like,
to our,
what happened?
go to Back Alley Dads. Maybe we can hear. Is it delayed? I don't know if it's delayed.
It's going to be delayed. Yeah, it's a good 10-second delay. What I'm wondering is, does it record him talking?
Yeah, it records him talking. Yeah.
So we could totally fake it, right? If it's recording me
Yeah, I
and
can definitely hear YouTube video stuff.
Through your headphones.
Yeah.
I don't know, brother. I don't know.
here's a possible question. It's going to make
Let me go try to grab the laptop downstairs and see what
All right.
that does. Because the other laptop is the. Yeah, let me hang up really quickly. Hang on.
Try use your headphones on that one. It'll probably work. All right.
Well, the other one doesn't have.
What's up?
The other one doesn't have a mic plug because it's a school laptop and it doesn't have mic plugs.
Okay.
Hang on.
Plug it into the headphone jack. We'll see what happens.
Like, yeah, because I can hear with the headphones. I wouldn't be able to. There wouldn't be like a mic next to my mouth or anything like that. But yeah, let me go grab it really quick.
Okay. So, all right. A couple options. One is, do you think it'd be easier to just do a one-on-one? Because it's basically like, if for some reason, I mean, you might have to just do the phone thing, right? Where you hear it and it records the voice and he can hear you.
Can he hear you? Well, I'm on Skype if we're just gonna do the phone thing, because I can call on Skype and that way he can hear you too. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
does Skype do calls? It does calls, right?
Yeah.
You could like call someone on Skype.
Why? My question is, why is he using Windows XP when he has a laptop?
I don't know, Derek. Maybe. Class tomorrow.
Okay, so options. What time's your class at?
It's at 9.
With the other one. Hang on.
It's at 9, but I have to go to DC, so I leave at like 7.
It's all day.
What do you say?
It's all day.
It's like 9 to 4.
I'd rather you get a good night's sleep for your test in the morning. Like, is this something that we try to pick up tomorrow?
I don't have a test. I don't have a test tomorrow. No, I can't do it tomorrow. I have a final project due on Friday.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
No way. That's why I was trying to do it tonight. It's okay.
Oh, I hear stuff. Hang on.
You hear stuff?
You hear us?
Yeah, on the other laptop. Hang on just a second. I'm going to try to satisfy my crying child that I just took the laptop from. Hang on.
Oh, shoot. Oh, no.
That's awesome. Oh, there we go. At least that works, Derek. There you go. Okay, he hung up the phone on me. That's cool. All right.
We can, with solidarity, we can all wake up a kid and have him sit on our lap, too.
Oh, yeah. Is your kid there?
No, Bethany just came. It's a great ceiling fan.
I'm gonna. Yeah, no, this is gonna be done by next week. I'm gonna do it legitimately.
I mean, if you're already doing it for your game dad stuff, like, is that what you're already doing?
Yep.
Oh, so you're skilled. You're versed in this.
It was just being lazy to do it. Yeah. I didn't think we needed it. Does that make sense? It's like overkill, in my opinion. I don't know. It was just me. Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are having some technical difficulties. So this is actually not the intro, but we have Matt Rose here with us. Can you hear us there?
What?
Can you hear us over there? Are you able to hear us now?
I can, actually.
Yeah.
I'll hear you better in just a second. Hang on.
Round of applause. There we go.
We did have to sacrifice a child to do that, though.
Can you hear Derek okay there?
I can. Some sacrificing a cow and stuff. I thought it was a goat, but
Close.
cow's pretty good.
Oh no, I thought you sacrificed a kid to get this laptop.
Oh no, that was definitely the case. There was definitely a kid chasing after me, crying up the stairs.
Okay, this works then. Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's get started, man.
Okay.
I shared the link on Facebook for the live stream, so if you want to share it, feel free to do so. Share it on Twitter. Feel free to share on Twitter. People can join in, of course, if you're here on youtube.com/badcatholicdads. You can leave a question here for Matt Rose, who is a theology teacher, but he's also a blogger, a published, right? Are you published? Is that right? Trying to get published?
Yes.
When I introduce you, how can I introduce you? Should I introduce you? Definitely introduce you as, my coworker.
As your boss.
As my boss. But also.
No. Sorry. Yeah, I've been published. I give talks sometimes.
Catholic Exchange is like what you're mainly writing for. Who you're writing for now, or
been writing a lot of stuff for Catholic Exchange. Did stuff with
stuff for those Catholic men. Is that correct?
Those Catholic men. I was like, what was the other one?
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'll do a quick intro, and then we'll figure it out. Again, thank you so much for being here, guys. If you do have a question, we do have the chat open. A lot of the chat was used for technical support, but it is open for you to leave a question. Of course, Derek, who is the pro,
we'll see.
Who's the pro at answering all the questions? We'll do that for us by the end of the show. Okay, ready, guys?
Oh yeah.
The pro.
Okay, here we go. I lied. I didn't start recording. There we go.
Yes.
It's a good thing I caught it though, right, Derek? Like,
hey, man, because we get through a half an hour.
I did not hit that record button on the actual podcast. Okay.
Better now than later.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bad Catholic Dads. It's good to be back this week with episode number 61. I am one of your hosts, John Perez, alongside making his return,
the mythical unicorn man.
The mythical unicorn man, Derek Rogers. Derek, how's it going?
Hey, I'm excited to be here. I'm really excited.
Dude, I'm so glad you're back, honestly. It's been a crazy couple of weeks without you.
Oh, jeez.
We were barely holding the show down, but
no. You did fantastic, is what I hear. So
we will get. I can't wait to have the episode where we'll recap kind of your couple weeks, but that's not going to be tonight because tonight,
not tonight, man.
We have a special guest with us. Please welcome to the show, my boss, actually, fellow theology teacher at theology, actually, department head at O'Connell. But he also writes for his blog, which we'll get to. He's a published author. He writes a lot for Catholic Exchange nowadays. He's written for those Catholic men who have a similar mission to us. Please welcome to the show, Matthew Rose. Yay!
Yay! Hey guys.
Nat, it's so good to have you here.
I know, so I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah.
I was so for those who are listening, this has kind of been a long time coming. This actually being on the show, it's been a long time coming.
Sure.
And I was very close to being the follow-up episode to the Bishop. So I'm really glad that wasn't the case.
You know, I was gonna say you have a special place in this podcast forever, because it was about a year ago or a little bit more than a year ago, where I had just left my job at my old school, and I just had interviewed at O'Connell, and one of the first, I think probably the first thing you ever said to me after I mentioned I meant something about Back Alley Dads, like, I know you, I know the podcast, I've listened to the podcast. What if that's a famous Back Alley Dad story? So welcome, thank you. It's good to finally have you on the show.
I know, right?
A year later, man. How's life? How's life going?
It's going pretty well.
How's your summer going?
Summer's going well. Relaxing, reading, because that's what you do. Nesting. I didn't tell you this before we left. We are expecting our third on Christmas Day.
Oh, that's incredible, man. We have some breaking news here on Back Alley Dads.
Breaking news. That's fantastic.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Wow. Congratulations. That's incredible. Life is crazy for you then, huh?
Just a tad.
Sad. Have you been anywhere this summer? Like, have you guys taken any family trips yet or anything like that?
Well, let's see. We went camping, and actually that's about it. We didn't really, which is better than last year, because last year we went to your neck of the woods, Virginia Beach, which was great. Yep. And I was doing a lot more prepping then because I was giving a talk, and so actually having a summer that's an actual summer is a huge delight. So.
Okay, that's good. Derek, real quick, before we get back to Matt and hear all about Matthew's vocation story in his life and everything, have you guys taken any like crazy trips yet? I thought you guys were going to California or something like that.
Yeah, after this trip, after this work camp thing in August, we're going to be going for a wedding.
Okay, so you'll be off the podcast.
It's coming up.
But you might do a special podcast, right? We had a conversation before over there.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah, maybe we're gonna see how that happens, because that's definitely a possibility.
You have to
be really good.
Well, stay tuned for Back Catholic Dads.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Back Catholic Dads. If you don't know, Back Catholic Dads podcast is a podcast all about talking about Catholic fatherhood and really our shared experiences and how we can help each other be better men. It's so funny that your wife, Matt, was on Facebook and you had written that you were going to be on our podcast. She was like, how ironic, because you're such a like super daddy or something like that. And I was like, yes, the name was working. The name is working, because I love it when people see the name and they're like, oh, like, I wonder who they are. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And then they, of course, like click on our stuff and look at our stuff, and then they finally realize, we're pretty orthodox, right, Derek?
Pretty much.
But
really, hashtags.
Yeah, that's one of our.
I'm gonna embarrass you. Ready? Okay, ready to be embarrassed?
Okay.
That was my younger sister, not my wife.
Oh, okay. Your younger sister. Okay.
It's okay.
Well, thanks for stopping me there. Anyway,
I wasn't sure. I didn't know they just changed last names. I didn't know how orthodox you guys are, so I didn't know if you had different last names or, that makes more sense now. Your sister makes sense.
Oh, there you go.
But she had written like, but yeah, it's awesome because you are a great dad, and we love having great dads on here, and it's really just to kind of talk about our shared experiences and how we're all kind of leading our families towards heaven. And so we have Matt Rose on today, specifically because it is the 50th anniversary of Humanae Vitae, which is good. But before we talk about that, and we talk about the great Catholic thing we call NFP, we want to get to know who Matt Rose is. We want to talk to let our listeners know why we have you on. I think personally you're a great guy and a really great mentor to me, especially at O'Connell, but also just a great example of living out your Catholic fatherhood. And so let's start off with your vocation story, Matt. Like, who you are, where you grew up, how was it growing up in your family? How did your family bring you up in the faith, if they did at all, or maybe you had a conversion there. But yeah, who was Matt Rose?
So I was reflecting about this like a few weeks ago, and I realized that my life is actually really boring. Like, to be honest with you. So I grew up in a Catholic family, baptized, raised, Catholic school all my life, went to O'Connell for high school, which is nice, coming back and teaching at my alma mater. Involved in youth group, but like the faith wasn't really alive for me until college, which I guess is a lot of people's case. And I went to Christendom College, which Derek knows a little bit about that place. But
The
I don't
best
think
college in
I
the world. Yeah, man, I know
Basically.
about that place.
It's just a little bit.
Was there a story of what drew you to Christendom? Like, because Christendom, I think I don't know, for kind of like even just like you're running
Normal people?
you're running the middle like Catholic.
Really.
That's a pretty awesome place to choose. That's like, if you're choosing that place, you're obviously going there for a lot of the faith aspect there. Was there a conversion to go there, or like a light bulb that clicked for you?
So my older sister went there, and then she went there because like a couple of cousins of ours went there, but outside of them, we wouldn't have never heard of the place because it just wasn't really like in like you would think that it being a Catholic college in Virginia, in Northern Virginia, that being at a diocesan Catholic high school in Northern Virginia, that we would hear about it all the time, but I only heard about it because of her and like visiting campus when she went there, or things like that. I never heard of it from like an admissions counselor or anything like that.
Or you didn't get like a brochure or anything like that, or it's
Nope.
cool to see that it was really your sister's example and her experience that led you, to Christendom College, which in turn led you to your faith being alive, and I'm sure we'll get there, but your wife as well, which is cool.
Yes, definitely.
So you're at Christendom College. What allows you to what makes your faith alive there?
So there are everyone who goes, not everyone, I won't say everyone. Most of the people who go there kind of are invested in their faith. So having people who actually care about something like their faith kind of makes it harder for you to, slack off, I guess. So for example, Sunday Mass, right? There's Mass on campus, you walk to the chapel, that kind of thing. And you could easily go to bed and just skip Mass and sleep through and things like that. But there's the example of your friends, your roommate, people like that who are, going to Mass too, living the life as well. And there's just really strong and good Christian example there.
Good Catholic identity there.
Yeah.
Good accountability there. Derek, did you see any of that when you were on campus?
Yeah, a lot of people were super just invested, just like Matthew was saying, just in their faith. Ranging from homeschoolers like me showing up and everyone in between. To me it was just a new thing. Like, I didn't have anything to compare it to, because again, going from homeschooling to college, it was just a brand new experience, so I wasn't able to pick up on a lot of nuances there. Matthew, was your sister Emily?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, she was I think a grade or two above, so that's cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Remember Emily? That's awesome. Very cool.
So if you're confused, listeners, Derek obviously went to Christendom. Matt went to Christendom, so we have Christendom nerds.
There's hey, be careful, tread. We have a lot of listeners, and they're some of the quick to attack listeners. Okay, so we got to respect the Christendom people. They will step up.
You're right. I apologize. That is true.
And there's still time for you, John. I mean, there is a master's degree program.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm like,
Just saying.
this area is kind of.
hear some of the best individuals from Christendom go to the master's degree program there. Right, Matt? Have you heard that too?
I mean, a little biased to say, but yes, it is true.
Yeah.
In fact, that.
No. Oh, what
Fair
else?
enough.
What else would you say about Christendom that really helped your faith? Like, obviously, probably like daily. I'm sure you attended like daily mass was available there. But what else would you say about Christendom that really allowed you to live out your faith to the fullest or fully?
So definitely the academics, because a lot of people, when they talk about like Catholic identity in education, which is something that I know, John, you've heard a lot of, because it's kind of a thing that O'Connell's really big on right now.
I've never heard of
But
it in my life.
never heard of it. Catholic identity? It's not something we're working on. No, of course not. A lot of people, when they talk about Catholic identity in school, they think of, okay, so let's say for history, for example, you take a history story, you take the historical events, and you start talking about, a religious person in there, and now you have religious history. But that's not how Christendom approaches the topics. They kind of start with, we're Catholic, and then how do we do history as a Catholic? Or we're Catholic, so how do we read great literature? Or how do we, do philosophy? So the Catholicness isn't forced into the topics. It's kind of the ground that everything's built upon. And that was kind of a revolution for me as far as like life and learning and things like that.
That's really interesting. That's awesome to hear, and even just like think about our own subjects or our own kind of content areas in our own school. Us trying to build something similar, I guess you would say. Building up Catholic identity at our school, which is cool. It's cool to hear that. I did want to take a step back a little bit, talking about your parents. I don't think I know. Oh, I mean, I've talked to you many times at school about your family and kind of things, but did you feel like your parents? I know you said that you were growing up Catholic. Did your parents have a huge role in your faith as well, or was it more of they brought you to mass, they brought you to youth group, but it wasn't until college? I don't know if if your family had a role in your faith life growing up.
They kind of had a huge one, really. My mom's a cradle Catholic. My dad is a convert from Baptist.
Okay.
From Baptism, whatever, like convert. And it was actually, they were married for about almost a decade before he finally converted.
Wow.
So, and it was also, I don't know if this is, causation, correlation, things like that. It was also about that time before they actually had their first kid. Like, they were on like an adoption waiting list. Like, they didn't think that they were able to have children before Emily came along. So there you go. But yeah, but they had the household was really Catholic. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about like their spiritual lives and growing up, and we had that, but maybe not to the extent of a lot of families, like a lot of Christendom type family kind of things.
Sure.
But the idea of not going to mass on Sunday was like, people do that? That's not what we do.
Yeah.
Or like, what do you mean you don't know what adoration is? What's this English you're singing? Things like that. Stuff. So, and then we also had the parish that we went to was really neat, because the pastor there would work with the seminaries and have seminarians during the summer on their off months. So we had some really awesome seminarians coming and serve the parish, like right in the middle of my high school years. So if you ever heard of, I don't remember how this got set up, but because he's not a diocesan priest, but Father Don Calloway, who's got this really awesome conversion story. You should look him up if you haven't heard him before.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him.
He did his diaconal year at my parish.
Okay.
So like that kind of atmosphere is what I was going through high school with, and it was a huge influence on me.
Yeah, that is really cool. Did you ever dabble into maybe going to the I mean, obviously you're married now, and we'll get to that, but did you ever dabble into the vocation of priesthood, or was it always kind of a straight shot towards marriage for you?
So I went to like all through high school, all the like every summer the Archdiocese of Washington would have like the come and see retreats.
Shout out to PG County.
Shout out to PG County, PGC.
I
tell
told Matt
students, I'll be like,
I was
they'll
gonna
be
say
like,
I
where?
told Matt on the first day I met him. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, you're from PG County. You're legit. You have street cred.
I tell my students, I'm like, I'm from PG County. They're like, no, you're not. I'm like, and why not? What about me? They're like, nothing.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, but yeah, I don't remember what we were talking about. Prince
Well,
George County.
Washington would come and
Oh, Washington. So they would have the like retreats every summer for the high school guys, or like, oh, come and see what the priesthood's like, and it's like you should be a priest too. But by like senior year, they were more like, vocations are important. You should discern a vocation, just to whatever it is, kind of thing. So I was like, and that was really helpful because the idea was that here you go, here's your vocation story leading. Okay, ready?
yeah.
So one of the skits they had, I don't remember why, they had a woman there. It was like the only time that they had like a girl like all weekend long. So I was like, oh, there's a girl here. What? So they, one of the sketches they did with the seminarians was like one of those like dating shows, and
yeah.
and so the way they did is they had like the different seminarians were all like these like guys off the streets kind of, and she was picking and he was like, bachelor number one, how would you answer this question? And they were all like kind of bums. And before that, though, they had grabbed a guy off the street, like when Jack, like, oh, we need somebody. Come on, are you married? And he's like, no, I'm not married. Oh, good, get in here. And he was giving these like great answers, like the kind of answers that you would want somebody to give, like what would you? Oh, I would take care of you, and things like that. And she's like, I really want to go on a date with the guy number 3. And he's like, actually, can't. I'm a Catholic priest. It's kind of like, oh. So the idea was like, hey, what you do that makes you, if you're going to become a priest, then the virtues you grow in and develop to become a priest are the same virtues that you should grow in and develop if you're going to become a married man or any man in society, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely. So that leads us to your vocation of marriage, which you were obviously called to. How did you and your wife meet, and kind of take us through that whole experience of you asking her out, and how that lead to, obviously, we got to hear the engagement story. We always do that on Bad Catholic Dads, but also your marriage, and now you guys having 3 beautiful children, which is awesome.
So we met the first weekend for the freshmen. There was like a luau kind of thing. This is back. So Christendom doesn't have it anymore, but they used to have.
Is that the cutbacks?
Not the cutbacks. That was the dance, but there was like the weekend, like the day before, they had like a luau at the pool. So there's not a pool there anymore. So
they don't have that anymore.
Yeah, you remember the pool, right?
I got thrown into that pool. Yeah, I remember that pool. It was that luau too. Not that same one, but
that was the tradition. You grab somebody and throw them in the.
Yep. You get thrown into the pool.
Yep. And so we're like, so I'm hanging out there talking to people, and it's freshman. It's like Saturday night, so I've been less than 24 hours since I last saw my family, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know all these people. I don't know who any of these people are. So I'm hanging out in the pool, and Angel by Shaggy comes on. All right.
That is such a great. I have not thought of that song in so long. Thank you for saying that.
I've thought of the song recently for sure.
So it's song, I'm like, oh, this is a great song. And this girl in the pool is like, oh, this is a great song. I mean, she's like, I don't really listen to much other music, but I've heard this one. This is a pretty good one. And we're kind of like, then we start talking. And so that was my now wife.
Wow. Derek,
so
like you, right? Like music, music brings people together at Christendom. It
does. It does. When it's not, Gregorian chant, it's amazing.
Yeah. There's a divide between.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I'm sure there's somebody who was in the choir who was like, I met my future spouse because she was a soprano and I was a bass or something like that.
I guarantee it.
That's awesome, man. So you guys date quickly after that, or?
No, it took about 5 years.
5 years. Why
5 years.
Why did
we didn't start dating until after graduation?
Was it on purpose, or how did that?
No, we didn't really. We didn't see each other as in that kind of way yet.
Okay.
We both like different people, and then it all just kind of fizzled out. And then graduation happened, and it was like bye. And
gosh.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
Tell
so
us.
First year teaching, okay, and it was at a school that it was Archdiocese Washington school. It's not open anymore, but I'm not going to say which one it is, just because. And it was a rough year for me. First time teaching, teaching middle schoolers who did not want to be taught, and it was rough. And so I didn't know if I should be there at that school anymore. At the same time, there was a girl that I liked that I was trying to convince that was like in another state, and I was like, oh, I kind of like her as a friend of mine. I should maybe like her as dating. Maybe I should ask her out. And then I was like, oh, but maybe I'm called to be a priest because, I'm a Catholic single guy who's graduated college and I wasn't dating anybody at the time. And it's kind of the default, right? It's like, not dating anybody. Maybe I'm called to be a priest. That's the.
Yep.
I like Jesus. Mass is pretty cool. So I did the thing you're never supposed to do. I gave God an ultimatum, which is never good. Never give God an ultimatum because God's like, really? You're telling me what to do? So it was like, okay, God, here's the deal. If I still am not happy teaching at the school, and if the girl turns me down, because that was a big one, the girl had turned me down, and I still vaguely feel attracted to being a priest, then I will go and talk to the vocations director because clearly you want me to be a priest. So sure enough, school year didn't get much better. And shockingly, the girl in a completely other state turned me down, even though we're good friends, but turned me down. And I still have those vague kind of, I feel like maybe I should be a priest kind of feelings. So then I talked to the vocations director and we met and talked for like, I don't remember how long. And he's like, okay, so you're still teaching and you have college loans. Okay. All these kinds of fun things like that. So keep teaching there at the school and I'll keep in touch with you. I'll tell you about different, young adult men events that we're doing or things like that, dinners or whatnot, retreats. I said, okay, cool. And then less than a month later, I was told that I wasn't going to be rehired because of layoffs at the school. So there was that.
Yep.
And I never heard from him again as far as stuff for the vocations office.
That's funny.
Never again. So I was like, okay, God. And so then the whole summer went by and I didn't have a job yet.
Sure.
And all the jobs I was applying for, they were like, oh, we'd love you to have a master's. Even O'Connell was like, oh, we'd love you to have a master's. And I was like, oh, but I don't have a master's because masters involve having a job because you have to pay for them.
Yep.
And to get a job, I needed a master's. And it was this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So at the end of the summer, I was like, well, I could go get a master's from Christendom, but it's in theology. And I was really kind of scared of theology classes because even though I kind of knew my faith, high-level theology kind of scared me. But then in the back of my head, I was thinking, well, if you were thinking about becoming a priest, you would have had to take those classes anyway. So you might as well. Hang on. Come here. Oh, no. Kid came in. Sorry.
All good. Part of the show. We love it.
I love it. I was going to bring like the interview, right? When the kid like comes in the back of the.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. What a great day.
So anyway, Christendom. So I was like, oh, this isn't going to work. So I was like, I'll go to Christendom. So I started Christendom and did those classes for a year, was unemployed for a year, living at home. And then at the end, this whole time I was chatting on through Facebook with this girl, Sarah, who I knew that we danced to Shaggy with. And it was our unofficial song as much as people who are not dating can have a song. And so you can see where this is going, right? Because so fast forward to the second summer after graduation, okay? Christendom's grad school has a residence program in Front Royal where you can take classes on Christendom's campus for the graduate school, okay?
Okay.
My now wife, Sarah, also lives in Front Royal at the same time with her family. So I'm thinking, okay, so if there's something that's going to happen here, this would be a great time to do it. And great procrastinator that I am, I hung out with her and her friends, and we even had like a nice picnic lunch. And before I finally asked her out through Facebook, via, and this is really important, it was a perfectly written Shakespearean sonnet. 14 lines, blah, 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 all the, technical perfection of a Shakespearean sonnet. And so even though it was a Facebook chat, she said yes, which is good because otherwise we wouldn't be here having this conversation.
Oh man, that's amazing.
So yeah, that's it. Then we dated for a few years,
Yeah.
got my master's, graduated, and then eventually we got engaged.
What was the engagement like? Real quick.
So we went. So I so I asked advice from my family because I was like, "Hey, mom, sisters, what do you think?"
Were
And
they
they were like,
first brought it up, or was it like all we knew? Like
"We're kind of like, well, we're not surprised," kind of thing like that. I'm like, yeah, we can see this coming. I was really nervous when I told my mom. So like when I was really nervous about things, I would email my mom or like write her a note. Even when I was little, I would be like, "Mom, I have a question. Can I have some ice cream or something like that?" And if I was really nervous, I would write her a note and be like, "Yes, no," and then I would like lay it on her desk and wait for her to look at her, things like that. So I emailed her saying like, "Hey, I really want to, I feel like I'm called to marry Sarah, et cetera, et cetera." And she was like, "Yes, I see that you guys are very good together, and this doesn't surprise me at all." So I asked her for advice, and one of the original ideas was go up Skyline Drive and propose and like sunset on the side of a mountain. I'd be like, "That's great." And then my mom and my sister are like, "No, that wouldn't work." And I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "What if you drop the ring?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "And it falls down the side of the mountain." I'm like, "Oh yeah, good point. That's a valid point." So instead, I was like, "Well, how about I do this instead?" So Sarah came down to where we lived, and I took her to the parish where my family and I went. And it was Saturday evening. Vigil mass was going on, so there was nobody else in the parking lot. And we went to where there's a little Mary grotto, and then we said the rosary, and then I pulled out the ring and was like, "I want to be your," or no, I haven't pulled out the ring yet. No, that was later. Anyway, I took her hand and said, "I want to be your, Saint Joseph. I want to be your Dr. Carroll, who's the guy who founded Christendom, who was really in love with his wife, and a couple other faculty members who are really good husbands." And I was like, "I want to be you for them, to them, like you to you. I want to be them." And then I proposed, and she said yes. I don't know why, but she did. She said yes.
That's awesome. Have you
And
guys,
then
obviously you guys were talking about engagement before and
kind of, yeah, we talked about like, do you want to get married? Yeah. You want to have kids? Yes. Well, that's good. Things like that. And we like talked about like, how many kids you want to have? As many as you got at once. Yay, that's the right answer. Things like, speaking of NFP, right? Things
that
like
is
that.
totally NFP. That is the NFP answer. I love it.
But yeah, and then we got married exactly 6 months later. So we got engaged on January 29th, and we got married on June 29th.
Wow. So a month ago you just celebrated your anniversary. How long have you guys been married now?
5 years.
5 years, man. That's awesome. And you have two, I guess 3 kids now. You have two
3
born,
kids.
one unborn.
Mhm.
What are your names of your children and who are they?
So the one who just came in here to see what was going on, that's the older one. That's the oldest one, I guess. So that's Benjamin.
Benjamin.
And then we have the younger one after that is Jacob. And I don't know what the next one's called because I don't know. We'll see what that is. See what happens.
That's awesome, man. It's good. It's cool to hear even like just the different stories of different vocations. I think it's amazing. I think it's good to hear, just people who have similar experiences, people who have different experiences, and obviously that's still an awesome story that you shared. Thank you. Derek, anything to add to that?
No, I'm just curious. Did you find out with your 2 boys if they were going to be boys, or were you surprised? You're going to do the same for this third baby?
So Benjamin, we found out because it was our first, and we're like, oh, we need to know, like, because I hate the color yellow. Just like it's too cheery or something like that. And yellow's the kind of like standby, like, oh, we don't know if it's a guy or a girl, so we'll give it yellow for whatever reason. And with Jacob, we didn't find out though. And I don't know if we're gonna find out for this one yet. I should probably check with the boss about that at some point.
I mean, she's doing the work, so yeah, it's
Right,
her
exactly.
call.
I mean, it's like, how much say do we really have, right?
That is so true. We did want to. Well, I think we'll probably ask at the end, but I did want to talk about before we got into our main topic. What are some like things that you found in your own fatherhood that have been successes, or that or even ones that you like look back on and could have changed, or maybe could have been learning experiences for you?
So one thing that we kind of struggle with the kids is like watching TV and technology and things like that. I know you guys have talked about it on the show a lot.
Yeah, we've done before. Yeah,
it's a big one. Because on the one hand, there's the ease of, oh, mom and dad need like some time to breathe or alone or read or something, right? And watch a movie that kids can't watch. And so put on something for them in the other room to watch. But then, of course, there's the sadness and the tears when the TV gets turned off and it's like, oh, we wanted to watch that, things like that. So maybe if you're, a new father out there, maybe just kind of like try to hold off on doing that as long as possible.
Yeah, sure. No, it's definitely I think a struggle in today's world too. I mean, it's easy to see where that comes from. Now that there's almost a screen in like everyone's room. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
and we don't even have like we don't even have smartphones. So it's even like people are like, oh, my kid's on the smartphone. I'm like, we don't even have that. So
yeah,
go figure.
Yeah.
I mean, in Windows XP, so like you're definitely not having the smartphones. Like that's for sure.
The laptop that wasn't working with us, that was my laptop that I got for my 21st birthday that I wrote my senior thesis, the second senior thesis on.
Wow.
It's awesome.
You bust that out, I'd be afraid, man. That's like a good, that's a good collectible for your life, man.
It was so it was the same price as so my sister for her 21st birthday is like, I want a golden retriever. So they got her like a golden retriever. So my laptop was the same price as the golden retriever purebred puppy. So
you regret the decision, or you have that puppy?
No, gosh. It's like, have you ever seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he gets the car and she gets he gets the computer, she gets the car or whatever.
Yeah.
It's basically like that.
I'm curious, Matt, as the head of the theology department, do you feel like there's a pressure to have a good prayer life with your kids and your wife? Like, do you have any special routines, like, coming in, like, it's I guess one thing to have like a Mr. O'Haran class, right? And like learning about theology, and then it's a different, like, applying that to these new like you have Benjamin and Jacob coming up. Like, how do you start that prayer life when you have like a really extensive background in theology?
Part of it is knowing like doing the simple stuff, and that's a big thing, is doing the simple things like the prayers before meal, or prayer before meals, prayer before going to bed, that kind of thing, getting them to mass, that sort of stuff. And that's actually one of the big things that we've been trying to do, is find a parish in the area where we live that's a good fit for the kids as well. So like, is this going to be a parish where they're the only children, or is it going to be one where, there's lots of kids, or is it going to be one where their kids are welcome or not, or things like that. So that's kind of a thing too. So getting them to go to mass, getting them to active prayer life, which is actually working sometimes, because we'll sit down for dinner and Benjamin will be like, let's say prayers. And we're like, okay.
Really cool. Yeah, to see that. Yeah. I know we don't have, I want to try to keep this thing under an hour. And so we have about 25, 30 minutes left. So let's
5 seconds left. No.
25 seconds left. Yeah. If we were on the Windows XP laptop, maybe 25.
Yeah, there
we go. We did want to talk about, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Humanae. I can never pronounce it correctly, but Humanae Vitae, which is great. Which means, of course, it means of human life. And so we really wanted to get you, Matt, who has an even more extensive background in theology, and you've recently just written an awesome article on the encyclical, but also kind of what Paul VI predicted, and kind of the consequences of today's world, and kind of things he warned about. Which, if you go read that, go to Catholic Exchange. I think it's .com, CatholicExchange.com. Is that correct?
Probably.
We'll get all your stuff out by the end and make sure everyone can read your stuff. But it was a fantastic article. But for those who don't know or maybe have heard of it but maybe haven't dived into it like some of us have, Matt, in a kind of like a quick paragraph, 2 paragraph kind of thing, a couple sentences, whatever you want. What is Humanae Vitae, and kind of what's the core message of it?
So Humanae Vitae is Paul VI's response to the question of, can Catholics use artificial birth control? And but it doesn't stop there. I mean, there's goes into this deep meditation on human and marital love, what the purpose of love and sex is, and that kind of thing, what the purpose of human life is, what the role of society is in the family, and things like that. It's really short too. You can probably read it in half an hour or so, and it looks at these different issues that were brought up. So, like for example, if a couple uses contraception but is normally not using contraception, is it okay if they use it every once in a while? So is that okay or not? Or the question of, kind of like the ends justifying the means kind of thing. Like, okay, so yeah, contraception is not okay, but can we use it if we have if there's an emergency going on, or like we're really broke or something like that? And what Paul VI says is not just, you shouldn't use artificial birth control, but it's kind of more along the lines of, look, let's back up and look at what love is. And you guys, I'm sure, both are all familiar with the whole faithful, fruitful, free, and total aspects of marital love. And so Paul VI starts with that and says, look, this is what love is supposed to be. And if you take one of those away, then that's not what marital love is. So contraception gets rid of not just the life aspect, which is people are like, oh yeah, it gets rid of the life part, but it also gets rid of the total part. And it also attacks the free part, because there's kind of a constraint on, and there's, and eventually it can lead to the loss of the faithful part too. And then the controversial part, which is the main the article that I had out today, Paul VI basically said, okay, guys, and by guys, I mean the entire world. He's like, look, here's the church's teaching on sexuality. If people don't follow the church's teaching on sexuality, bad things are going to happen. And so he comes up with a few, and he says, here's some of the things that are going to happen. Immorality is going to increase. Marriages are going to, marital infidelity is going to increase. What's another one? More disrespect for women will crop up in the world, and men will kind of start treating women as objects. Governments will use contraceptive methods to control their populations, and basically everybody will just kind of try to control themselves. And then when this came out, everybody's like, that's not going to happen. Paul VI is, doesn't know what he's talking about. And it kind of did.
Yeah, sure. I did want to back up a little bit, because I was just kind of doing some research and just like kind of rereading things that I knew, things I didn't knew, which is good. It's always good to learn. Lifelong learner. Shout out. But it was really cool to just kind of see the history of it. Obviously Matt knows me, like a huge history buff, right? Like, and just kind of see the history of it and how controversial that document was for its time, because I was reading it, or I was reading kind of different people's articles on it, especially the link that you provided, which was fantastic. We have to share that link before we leave it. It's a great link. It was just like a resource for all things Humanae Vitae, right? Like it had a bunch of different articles from different people and different messages. It was really cool, but it was cool to see just how crazy and how controversial that document was, because at the time, I guess artificial birth control was coming, like that technology was coming up, I guess almost for the first time in that way, and the church had to have a response. And it was cool to see that Paul VI brought a lot of different experts into the field. He brought a lot of different bishops and priests and experts, and they were all telling him one thing, like I don't know, like it was a little bit of a shock to see that some clergy and some of his advisors were telling him, like, yes, birth control, right? Like, is that what you got? Like, can you just like elaborate on that, Matt, a little bit?
I mean, that's a huge part of it, is that there's this backlash that he got really. So the encyclical is signed on the 25th, and so I mean, you know how like when they, the signing date isn't the date that comes out. So the day it came out was July 29th. On that day, on the steps of the outside of CUA's campus, Catholic University's campus, there was a rally basically explaining to people that Catholics don't actually have to follow this encyclical because it's not binding on them, that it's not infallible. And these were the theology professors at Catholic University who were saying this. Father Curran's the big notable one, but there were other ones. And there was this whole theme going throughout with a lot of these people who were really smart guys and really trusted teachers in theology who were basically saying, you don't have to listen to what Paul VI is saying here.
Why do you think there was so much pushback on that encyclical and that teaching?
So there was an expectation that the church was going to loosen its teaching on contraception, at least as far as I could tell.
You think
from what I've seen?
Think because of science, because of this is like new technology, or this is like more modern technology?
Yeah, so there was definitely the more modern technology. We were kind of, if you want to think of it this way, you could say we're behind the other churches. So like starting in 1930, the Anglicans had recognized contraception as okay in certain circumstances. Yeah. And so, within the next few decades, the other kind of American mainline Protestant churches and other religious churches had kind of brought that in. And so it's kind of like, well, Catholics are next, right? And it was the kind of thing where a lot of people had already started counseling married couples to say, if you're in a rough spot, you can use contraception or things like that. They had already started telling them that, or that if a politician could support laws supporting it or things like that. So they kind of expected the church, because like, oh, this is the way the church is going. So Paul VI, who's pretty lenient about these things, is probably going to side with us. So
yeah. And Derek, if you have anything to add,
yeah,
we'll jump in.
Matt, can you speak of like, I mean, we can kind of like surmise some of these things, but looking back like 50 years ago today, can you think of like the ones that really stand out to you, like this prophecy is like 100% on, and like it was the logical just continuation of what would happen if we went down this path? Like your article, you mentioned the Me Too movement. Is there other things that you can like look at and point specifically like this is the result of this, contraceptive movement that was happening?
So it's really interesting because the people who did the things that he said that people will do are not necessarily in the mind of the church. Like they don't have that kind of like support for the church's moral teaching or anything like that in general. So when he was talking about, because this is always one that I was like, oh, well, duh, this one happened right away. The one where governments are going to use contraception to kind of control the population or control their citizens. Yeah. So that started happening. I mean, it was already happening in parts of the world, in the United States, in some places where you have eugenics and things like that. And then you have, in certain other countries where, different communist countries would start doing it. But the interesting reason he said that is if it starts with the family, then it's going to go to the larger society, the wider society. So he's already thinking in the back of his head, okay, family is the basic cell of society. So a government will use the excuse of, okay, if a family can do this, if a married couple can use contraception to regulate their family size, then a government can use contraception on a wide scale to regulate their family size, so to speak. So that's why you get things like with the different population control movements in different parts of the world and things like that.
Yeah, no, that's spot on, man. Yeah.
I just recently saw too an advertisement. I don't know if it was Belgium, but it was, I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was a plea because of their population is dropping and it's not going to be able to support their country. It was an ad for aimed towards grandmother, saying like your son is a deadbeat and you're you want to have your mom happy, and the thing that's going to make your mom happy is to be a grandmother. And so it would be this way to donate money to your kid, and it would go on a trip, a nice vacation, because they went through all the scientific benefits of exercise and being in a new location, and how this makes people more interested in their significant other. And it was really interesting to see this kind of, it was like they were doing all these interesting things in this commercial where it was funny when you watch it, but it's a legit commercial where she was like, you see this grandmother like trying to help their kid like go on this romantic time of like, hey, you need a, this is the whole reason for this trip is to conceive. And there was like this thing of like, she's putting the shish kebab thing and poking holes in these condoms and handing it, like sending it off with her kid and everything. And it was funny on the point of like, they're trying to find creative ways to say, we have to do this like the correct way now because we've hurt ourselves, like we are imbalanced. Are there some countries where you see, like, when you look at this, are there countries where you're like, their population is very low because of this single relationship first, and making yourself happy rather than the family aspect that you were just speaking of? Can you think of any countries that really stand out to you right now that are kind of feeling the pain of this?
Yeah, the United States, for example. Bam! I just got to say that.
Roasted.
Roasted. Not just the United States, but most of almost all of Western Europe, really, and most of the developed world, I think is what it's called nowadays, have below replacement birth rates. So in order for there to be replacement, so in other words, every male and female human must have 2 children to replace their, themselves, right? One baby. And yeah, you got it. And it was like, yeah, hit the middle.
We got it, guys.
One guy, one girl. You got it, John. Bare minimum. Let's see, where was I going with that? I'm gonna get so much flack. All right, so we have a birth rate in the United States that's below the 2.1 replacement rate, and the only reason we are not in a population decline in the United States is because we still have immigrants coming into our country. If it wasn't for all the immigrants coming into our country, we would be dying out as a country. And that's just one. That's Europe is like that, and most of I can't remember if it was like Italy or Belgium, maybe, like you said, or one of them. Their birth rate is like just over 1, like 1.2 or something like that, which means that at their current rate in like however many years, they're going to be like, if nobody else moves into the country, then they're gonna die out. Which again, in those places, their population is only staying stable because the whole refugee crisis, where people are like, oh no, we shouldn't let refugees in. Those refugees are the only people who are keeping the population numbers in those countries stable. Yeah. So, and you're right, it comes from that whole understanding of like the population,
like, and how, yeah. Well, and my question is, with this continuation of like kind of these prophecy things, and just the anticipation of this happening, can you speak a little bit more to, because I know it was in your article, how birth control affects women in this way, where we see it in the Me Too movement, and how is this carrying on? Because we've speaking about how our population is, hurting because we're told to be fruitful and multiply, and then how does this contraceptive mindset affect women? Just taking like men out of the equation of this procreative act. Why is this might be something to do with the Me Too movement?
So, give me a sec. Processing.
Because I think, one of the things that you were saying earlier was that with
can I quote your article?
the initial topic was about,
go ahead, sorry, go ahead,
how the women have been kind of mistreated and disrespected by men, and that was one of kind of the prophecies that was made as well with this. And how does that, like, how do we see that now today with this Me Too movement? How is that like What's for those that haven't read the article,
Mhm.
how is it showing up in this Me Too movement?
So you kind of see things like the whole idea of like women are. I'm not going to say that they're now realizing, because that just is an insult to women who have been trying to say things all along. Um,
Hmm.
but there's now at least a public recognition of, wow, some guys are real jerks, and those are the polite words, because family podcast and whatnot, right?
Yeah, we are
Um,
podcast. That's correct.
we're not that bad of Catholic dads.
Yeah, exactly. Good.
But this idea that um, in a world where contraception is used or expected or things like that, then you're going to have more license to use and abuse other people. More excuse that you can get away with it because there's not as many consequences. So, for example, you have this idea like, oh, what's stopping me from having an affair? And like they've done studies, and if they like something like 70% of guys that were interviewed were like, yeah, if I wasn't going to get caught, I would have an affair on my spouse or something like that. And contraception, what was originally the idea was like, well, it'll be used to help regulate family size, but then it got turned into, well, we're going to use it to kind of hide the
Yeah.
darkness that we do. So that's kind of, and then what ends up happening is, as that mindset of no consequences leads, it just becomes a matter of one person's will versus another person's will, and the stronger will wins out, and that's where you start getting these abuses and things like that. There's a deeper issue beyond that. It's not just that, oh, well, if a person doesn't use contraception, then they're not going to get abused or something like that. That was actually, so I taught Humanae Vitae this past spring with my juniors,
Mhm.
and that was actually something that I didn't really get into in class as much. But the girls were like, "So we're kind of offended by what you were saying, because it sounded like you were saying that the best way to stop being abused is to be, marry somebody and have lots of kids." I was like, "Where did you get that?" Because they misunderstood that connection between contraception and the abuse of women and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say is like we were talking about it earlier. We were talking about the 4 tenets of love, right? Like faithful, fruitful, free, and total, right? Like and how contraception takes a lot of that out of the picture, right? And we talked about how that faithful part, like eventually contraception takes out that faithful part, because it leads to um seeing women as objects, or seeing the other person as an object, and you can see that in the psyche and in the psychological consequences of, I'm sure, of what Pope Paul VI was seeing, in that when you do introduce contraception, it's almost like a psychological thing that happens, with seeing the other not as someone who you can obviously be faithful with, obviously be free with, give your whole entire being to, be procreative with, but now you're just looking at them kind of as someone to be used. And that obviously, I think, kind of gets to your point in the article of now we have men who are seeing women as objects and things to, as things, which is terrible, obviously. And obviously when you see someone as an object, you're not treating them with their dignity that they deserve, and they just become things. So
And that's kind of I mean, it was kind of disturbing doing I really, so I really did not enjoy writing. Okay, I didn't, not that I didn't enjoy writing the article, but I did not enjoy doing the research for this article. Kind of looking at the things like I mentioned in there, something like it's like every second porn industry makes like $3,000 or something like that. Some ridiculous, like disgusting amount of money.
yeah.
And it's like that doesn't happen if you have a society, or not society, a culture, we'll say. It doesn't happen if you have a culture of respect towards women, respect and love and towards the others, and a non-selfishness, because it really gets at that kind of selfishness. So
Yeah, no, definitely. Derek, anything else to add? I did want to say, like, while these things are happening, and obviously it's the anniversary of Humanae, and we can look. Obviously, I loved how at the end of your article you talked about hope for the future, and kind of where can we find hope, right? In this, I guess, in to coin your terms, like in this moral darkness, in kind of the moral state of the United States and really of the world right now, especially kind of you even look to Western Europe, right? Like, what is the role? How does what I want to get at, and the question I want to ask you, Matt, is how can Humanae Vitae have a role in the family? Like, how can we learn from Pope Paul the VI, who's going to be a saint, by the way, which is awesome.
I'm pretty psyched about that. Yeah.
Canonize him, which is great. How can we learn from that and really pass that on in our families, right? Because I think more families should know about that, right? Especially Catholic families, right? Like, we are the light, we are the hope. We're supposed to be that beacon on the hill, right, for the world, right? That's what the church is supposed to be. How can we use this encyclical in the role of our families, but eventually, hopefully, to the public?
So one of the beautiful things about the encyclical, I grabbed it right before we got on because I figured I should probably have a copy of it in front of me because
I think I have one somewhere upstairs in my book.
Somewhere like that, right? So the very last like third of the encyclical, it's kind of like a pastoral section where he kind of like gives, advice, talking about things. And that's where he talks about like natural family planning. He doesn't call it that, but the idea of like self-discipline for couples.
Yeah.
But then he also has a section 25, which is like 3 paragraphs long with talking to Catholic couples and about their marriage and things like that. And he says, and he repeats it, he said it earlier in the encyclical as well, but this idea that because marriage is a sacrament, we're not in it alone. It's not a matter of us married couples doing it by ourselves. We have God's grace infusing it and building up, and grace builds on nature. So what we have already, that natural kind of virtue that we have, God builds on that through the sacrament of matrimony. And that's kind of the thing that we as a married couple, we as married people should be aware of, is that, when things go rough, because they will go rough, and when things are tough, because they will get tough, we can know that we have God's grace, we have God in our corner, kind of things like that. That we're not trying to do it all by ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. You brought up NFP. What's NFP?
I don't know.
We can't use contraception.
Can't use contraception. So that's one.
The church is very, very strict on that, right? But we do have hope, right? We do have some sort of hope.
We have hope. That's what it is. Yeah.
So I was teaching theology of the body with like freshmen one year. And I was like, I can't, no contraception kind of things. And they were like, so we're supposed to have like 10,000 kids? I'm like, okay, first of all, that's just not physically possible. That's just not the way human body works. So NFP stands for Natural Family Planning. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's a ton of people you could get on the show that could talk about it a lot better. Here's your tip, right, Ray? You need to try to get Matt Fradd or Jason Everett on the show.
Yeah, dude. One day.
There you go. One day.
When I first started, I asked Matt Fradd to come out because he came out with a great book. I think it's called Love.
The porn one?
The porn effect, right? Like I wanted to get him on to have. Anyway, yes, we do need to have him one day. We will. We definitely will. He'll see how awesome. He'll like, oh, you got that Matt Rose guy. Now I have.
You got this bishop, something like that. So
that's true. That's true.
For those that don't know, can you make that connection? How is NFP attached to Humanae Vitae?
Yeah,
so NFP. So the idea between the idea of NFP is that rather than using artificial contraception, which is like an external way of stopping the natural process of the sexual act, whether it be chemically or through some sort of like a surgery or some other kind of, like condoms, or something like that. Rather than doing that, it lets the couple be aware of the natural fertility cycles of, the women and, the things like that. So knowing, okay, so during this time, the woman is fertile versus these other times. And so on the one hand, if a couple is trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say space the children or something like that. Like they can't have children at this time for whatever reasons, be it, psychological, financial, medical, whatever, things like that, they can have sexual relations during the infertile times. Okay. But the flip side of that is also that, say, a couple is trying to get pregnant. Well, because they've been, figuring out charting and things like that, they will know when the woman is most fertile, and so they can have recourse of those periods, and that'll help with conceiving when other times they've had struggle doing that in the past. So on the one hand, it gets rid of the whole problem of artificial birth control, but on the other hand, it kind of tries to stem off the issue of like the artificial fertility treatment kind of stuff. It's more of a natural kind of process. And the interesting thing about it is that it's not just the woman doing it on her own. The man's supposed to be there helping her and guiding her, and not guiding her, but like working with her, kind of doing things like that. And it's not just a matter of like, oh, can you get this water for me to drink or something like that. It's actually him talking to her.
Yeah.
And respecting her
I,
in a way that you don't get with the other kinds of things.
I was just going to say, I read one of the articles that I read today was, it was a beautiful article. I posted on Facebook before we went live. It was titled, no, it wasn't titled anything. I didn't post it, but it was something about like how my wife and I came back to the church because of NFP. And it was really like, I think it's funny because I asked our wife, Derek and I, we have awesome wives, of course. We can't say anything else but that. But we were trying to get them to come on the show to talk about NFP because obviously, like, I will say NFP is a lot on the woman. Obviously, men have a role in NFP as well. But they were like, hey, we want to see, your perspective, and I think when we talk about men and we talk about NFP, it's a tough thing. It's a love, tough kind of thing, for us men. But when I was reading kind of their article on, this married couple was talking about how they had lapsed from the church, lapsed from being Catholic. And it was really them studying NFP, which brought them back to the church, which I thought was really cool. And one of the reasons why they came back to church because of NFP was it was all of the where in contraception there's a lot of consequences. We talked about like a lot of consequences with contraception, but with NFP there was a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like rewards that came, like unintended rewards that came out of NFP, right? Like obviously we talk about spacing kids and paying attention to women's fertility cycle, or if you're trying to conceive, we talked about that. But one of the things you brought up, Matt, and that was also in this article, was these unintended rewards that come from NFP, such as strengthening the marriage, especially with communication. Like, and it almost reaffirmed, I think, what many of us guys go through, in that we have to constantly be communicating, hopefully be communicating with our wives during practicing NFP, right? Like, and how that really, I think that really builds upon a strong marriage rather than tears upon it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, no. Paul VI actually mentions that explicitly, like those kinds of things. So if you, in like section 21, he has like he's like the value of self-discipline is what it's called, but basically it's talking about natural family planning. And he gives like 10 of them. And there are things like you're saying, like, there's the strengthening of the bond, there's a consciousness of the responsibilities. And then this is a really neat thing. It gives an example of right moral living for the children. So the children who are the fruits of that couple will see how to live the moral life, and how, like, so for example, a man who respects his wife, children will see the man respecting his wife, and they will learn that is how, the men will learn that, the boys will learn that's how you respect a woman. The women will learn that's how I should be respected. And it helps build a strong, it basically forms strong, virtuous men and women in years to come, which you don't get from this culture of selfishness.
Right. It's all about building that culture of love, right? And in the culture, within the culture of death. So
exactly.
I feel like one of the things as men, because you're right when you talk about how a lot of the work for NFP and charting is like the women really working on that. And for men, I think one of the things that I've learned a lot is just patience and trust. Um,
Yeah.
because you want to just be in communication with your wife about these things and to understand if this is a fertile or a non-fertile time. And in doing so with this patience, it when you tie that in with the peace that you receive because you're not fighting against God, you're working with God. That's a really cool thing for I think a man when you start putting those two together about this communication and this discipline and patience tied in um, with this peacefulness of working with God. It to me makes that part of the relationship a lot easier because there's less of like there's not this huge financial burden. There's not this like constant fighting against God, going to confession. There's this peace and understanding, and it is difficult. It is this discipline, like you were mentioning.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've grown in patience, and my trust in God uh, has grown as well. And those are two things as a man that I've gotten from it. I don't know if you guys have received the same thing or anything different, just as men, because I know it's helped me understand human beings in general. I mean, a lot of people nowadays, and I feel like this is like maybe a turning, like you were talking about hope before, a turning towards this positive culture and a positive life culture. So many people are turning vegetarian and against all these things because like there's chemicals in the cattle and the way they die, and I don't want to consume these chemicals and I want to have my body pure. It feels like by following NFP, it's going to start embracing this culture of like science and like, look, you don't need to spend $600 a year on contraceptives or do this surgery. You can work with that and you don't have to put these chemicals in your body, and it could be very natural and returning this like holistic type of life. And I just feel like there's this return to just peace and simplicity. What sex should be, 'cause I think that's one of the things that we forget as a culture is what sex actually is for. It's in the narrative act to procreate. And once we start putting that in place of like God is at the center of this and we can work with him, there's a lot of peace that I get through that. So do you fellas, did you gain anything differently than what I've expressed as meant? Because I feel like those are the main things. I know as guys, when we're working on NFP, it's a
Yeah.
lot of that patience. Can you think of anything else that you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna just kind of piggyback on that, Derek. Like, NFP is not sunshine and roses, right? Like, and flowers. It's tough, and it's. I would even say like it's. I mean, I'm sure fellow men and fellow brothers here on the podcast, like we know how sometimes it can be frustrating, right? Like it can be tough for not only us but our wives as well. But yeah, one of the things that's great is you build virtue. I think you build virtue. I think that's the word I'm looking for. You build virtue in those moments,
Mhm.
not only with communicating with your wife, but building patience, like you were saying, Derek. Um, Building restraint and what's the word I'm looking for?
Discipline.
Discipline, right? Like all those things, like and it's not easy, like, and that's why we go back. I think Matt put it very beautifully. We go back in Paul the VI, even before Matt, but we go back to like it's a two person job. It's you're that's why we're married. That's why we are in this thing together. So,
Mhm.
Matt, anything to add?
Yeah. No, that's and one of the other things, you're supposed to bring the flowers, John. That's your problem. You're supposed to bring the flowers, and
Gotcha.
because one of the beautiful things about NFP is that you don't rely on sex as the only way of showing love.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
we in this culture have this, we have wrong definitions of love. It's either give the person whatever they want or it's sex, right? So it's if you love me, then you do this, or if you love me, then you would accept whatever I'm doing as okay. And what NFP shows is like, well, at least in the second half, or at least in the part where it's, that love is not sex. So the couple who is abstaining finds other ways to show affection
Right.
than, sexual intercourse. So they'll say, they'll buy flowers, they'll go on walks, they'll, write letters to each other or something like that.
Right.
Any of those kinds of things. And you could probably come up with your own individual personal ones. And that's kind of something that you don't get in a culture of, well, we have contraceptives, so we can just do whatever we want, whenever we want. And it's without any kind of thought to deepening the relationship.
Right. And that, yeah, like it's like you were saying, like that could be a time where you do deepen that relationship in other ways for sure. Yeah. Anything else to add, guys, before we get into quick rapid fire Q&A questions? Derek?
No, I think everything that was talked about is just, it's really good to think about. And I think it's a challenge for maybe those Catholic fathers that, are just trying to find a way to do things better. I think everything that John and Matt have mentioned, just start looking up some information on it. If it's a world that you don't know of, just like the internet can be so uplifting, because you just see like the whole story of like how this contraceptive thing, how it started, and the saints and Mother Teresa, and how these people, really went behind and supported these very what turns out to be NFP. It's really cool to just see these people reaching out and working in this way. And I know people in medical field, like when I was hearing some of these stories, they had never heard of NFP, and that there was a different way to do this. And that blew their mind, and they were angry at the system of like, why didn't I know about this? But this is a good opportunity is for dads. Just look up, the history of this. Just look up NFP. And there's so many great writers on it. I would just, the things that John and Matt have both said, great things, and especially Matt's recent article. There's a lot of different angles to just look at this and just say, this is really eye-opening, and it is a great refresher. I know John was talking about how he was just, just refreshing everything in his mind, and it gives you that strength to like, okay, other people are in this boat too. Other men are struggling with this too, but at the same time, we're going to get out of this stronger, especially for our relationships, if we can trust and have the patience and love to bear this stuff. So everything that you guys were saying, it's so good to just listen to that stuff and just be reminded of that.
Yes, agree.
Definitely agree. Oh yeah. All right, let's get to a couple quick Q&A questions here. Matt, just gonna kind of 1-2 sentence answers. You don't have to go into too much detail. We answered actually a lot of it, kind of talking about your family and your life. But I had a question. What's it like to be a Catholic theology teacher in today's world? What are some of your ups and downs of it?
So I have a fear of being wrong, or like telling people the wrong information.
Yeah.
So that's like amplified when I'm teaching theology, because it'll be like, oh man, if I give the wrong answer, then my students are going to leave the church or something like that. So there's like a weight in that regard. People keep asking you questions, and you're like, I don't know. Ask a priest. I don't know, go look it up online. Student-led learning or something. Come on.
Exactly. Hardest. Oh, I guess you did answer that question. Okay. Derek, do you have any? It doesn't have to be the ones we wrote down, but do you have any?
What's your go-to Catholic book that has really inspired you or just really helps you? You talk about possibly making mistakes and being afraid of that. Is there some kind of Catholic book that you would recommend?
So, Catechism. That's kind of good. It's a nice one.
Yeah.
No, but the compendium though is really neat, because it's like question answer kind of format. It's a lot shorter, so that's a good go-to one. The internet.
What are some of your favorite books? Like just books.
Oh, while you're thinking about your favorite book, I just want to say this because I think it ties into this. We have cousins that are Greek Orthodox, and we were talking about. It was a good conversation, but we were talking about the whole contraceptive and what the church's stance is. And they, when I told them about what the catechism was, they were like, that is awesome that you have your church's social teachings in one spot where you can look up what the church's stance is on contraceptives. Because from what they knew, the Greek Orthodox Church didn't have an organized teaching, just an idea of like, why, because they're kind of split with this idea of contraceptives, and it was really eye-opening to them to see, oh my gosh, that must make it so much easier, because I think within the community they have this kind of talk and there's nothing put down like in the catechism. And I was just I felt proud to be a Catholic at that point. Like, yeah, actually, that is cool. And it takes sometimes outsiders to see that, just say like, that is an awesome, that's an awesome tool that we have. But I just want to say like that has helped me with my faith, just having that catechism. So I 100% agree that the catechism is fantastic reading material.
Yeah, no, that's so recently my wife and I had some Mormons over a few times, like kind of doing evangelization, apologetic back and forth kind of things. And I asked them if they had, a thing like the catechism. And I gave them a catechism. And I was like, do you have anything like this that I can like say, okay, what do Mormons teach on this point? And here it is, or things like that. And they said, well, no, we don't. And I was like, wait, it's really hard to have a conversation with you about these things if I don't know what you say.
Right.
So
If what you say has weight to it,
right.
That's like if it's your opinion or half your opinion, half your
Right.
Yeah. So that's cool. Do you have any favorite Catholic books or books that you always go to, or like other than obviously catechism, just like for fun books, spiritual reading, or just reading in general?
So I read a lot of stuff. I really like, if you want church history stuff, I really like Warren Carroll stuff. Warren H. Carroll, he's kind of like my hero. Well, there goes another one. Oh, you can see him back there. They go, Jacob, come here. Come here, Jacob.
One here, huh, man? One here.
Yeah, well. I love reading C.S. Lewis. He's pretty awesome. Yeah, lots of good stuff. I actually, honestly, and this is going to sound super nerdy, I love reading John Paul II stuff. It takes a while. You got to kind of settle down and be like, all right, I am reading John Paul II right now.
Yeah.
I gotta get in like the right mind frame of like, this is gonna, I have to like reread a paragraph for a couple times. But like reading some of those like Fides et Ratio or Evangelium Vitae, the big encyclicals, like the big heavy hitter ones, they're really, really powerful. Like when you read it, even just a little bit, you'll read like a section of it and you're like, wow, like take it to adoration and pray kind of thing, not just like study it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I read essays and collections and things like that.
One of my favorite things about JP2 is so many awesome other authors have taken his works and kind of, I want to say like not really dumbed it down, but kind of dumbed it down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also have had amazing inspirations out of his like, let's take Theology of the Body for example. Like Theology of the Body, it's pretty tough to read if you're not in that mindset like you were talking about. But there's so many awesome authors who have talked about and used Theology of the Body and have had these awesome inspirations in books. The one that comes to mind is Christopher West, obviously with I can't remember the book's called, something to heaven, right? Like it's a really good book. So any other questions there? Publishing. You're trying to get published, is that correct?
Yeah, things like that.
What's that? I don't know if you have like an NDA on it or anything like that, but what is that process like for you?
All right, so in addition to writing for whatever online article places I can find that will accept online submissions or unsolicited submissions and things like that, I have my blog Quid Est Est,
Okay.
which is Latin for whatever it is.
Cool.
So quid is one word. QID.
Matt, I was gonna say you're not Catholic unless you have a blog that is in Latin, has a Latin name.
So the blog is actually older than my marriage, and so I was like, oh, I gotta come up with a cool nerdy religion blog name. Okay, so it's got to be in Latin.
Yep, my old blog was in Latin too.
There you go. Everybody's gotta have a Latin blog at some point.
Mine was I'm gonna butcher the saying, but Desiderio Domini or something. St. Peter said it. It was basically like I like long to be with my Lord or something like that. So it's cool.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So this most recent thing. So in addition to writing and teaching and things like that, every once in a while I give talks or like submit papers or things like that, present papers, and that actually, speaking of awesome wives, right? Full disclosure, the only reason why I do that was because my wife did it first or signed up to do it first. Cool. So we actually ended up, both of us, giving talks on J.R.R. Tolkien in England for the Tolkien Society in the United Kingdom a couple summers ago, 3 summers ago, something like that, 2016, whatever that is. And we gave talks there. And because of that, I was like, oh, I could look up other talks. And so then I gave another talk at Franciscan, and then I gave a talk this past October also at Franciscan for the Society of Catholic Social Scientists on the historical teachings or the historical vision of Warren H. Carroll. And so the essay version of that talk is going to be published this fall in the Journal of the Society of Catholic Social Scientists.
Wow. That is incredible, dude. Congratulations. That's great.
One last one from me. Your favorite undergrad Christendom professor?
Dude, come on. They're probably listening right now. So.
I'm putting you on the spot, man.
Okay. So O'Donnell's pretty high up there. Marshner was pretty high up there. Okay, so Timothy O'Donnell. Okay, he's the president of the college. His History 101 class kind of transformed me, like as far as like how you can do history, and actually made me want to.
Yeah, I had that same class.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Like I'd never had anything like that before. Marshner, because of just okay. So if you want a taste of what it's like to have a class with Dr. Marshner, the Institute of Catholic Culture has like him all the time as a lecturer. So go like, but you can't just like listen to you have to like go watch the videos of him because he has like the facial expressions and things like that. Patrick Keats is a literature professor, really cool guy. Let's see who else. Dr. Rice. How to say Dr. Rice. So I had Dr. Rice as I double majored in English and history. So for my English thesis, Dr. Rice lived like across the street from the campus. And he actually set up a table and chair in his attic for me to come over once a week and work on my thesis because he had like a whole bunch of books on the topic. And so that was kind of a special kind of experience.
Cool, actually. Yeah, it's cool. Last question for me, Matt, before I know we're going a little too long, and we honestly thank you so much for being here the whole time. Funniest
my kids running around, so there you go. Sorry.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, funniest moments with your kids so far.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Funniest moment. I don't know, they're pretty funny.
Yeah.
They say cute things. They make funny pouty faces. Oh gosh. What is it? The line was like, well, funniest would indicate that the others are not as funny or something like that. I don't know.
You don't have to answer the question, but I just thought it'd be cool to have a memory,
Trying to think of a good one. There was a time I was doing this podcast and just walked in the background and neither of them wanted to be on camera.
Blonde-haired kid. Yeah.
Blonde-haired kids.
Well, I noticed you have one. Benjamin. Is Benjamin blonde?
Yeah, they're both blonde.
Oh, they're both blonde? Is your wife blonde, or did you have...
No, I'm not as blonde as I used to be. I'm like much darker now, but I used to be like super blonde. In second grade, I was the blonder or the blonde in the blonder, blondest when we were doing comparatives. So there you go.
Awesome, man.
That's a good one. Trying to think of I'll sit here for the next half hour thinking of cute things that they do. Great memories. I'll tell you an embarrassing one. So one time I was... Here you go, ready?
That counts as funny for us, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So one time, make you chocolate milk. You know what time it is? Okay. So one time, Sarah was out doing something that she does, because she gets out and does stuff. So I was watching them at home, okay?
Okay.
And I'm sitting on the couch, on like the comfy chair in the living room reading, and they're upstairs watching TV. And all of a sudden, I wake up because I had fallen asleep, and Sarah had come home and already gone and put them to bed.
Oh no!
No.
And I had slept through the whole thing on the chair downstairs.
I can't say that. I don't think that's happened to me. Wow, what was that conversation like afterwards?
Nothing. It was just like, oh, she was very understanding, and because she's awesome and things like that. I'm just saying, it's my bad Catholic dad street cred kind of thing.
There you go. Yep. There you go.
So.
You didn't have to worry about if it was a fertile time or not during that. That was a no time.
Nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for episode 61 of the Bad Catholic Dads podcast. Matt, where can people find you? Where is your work? And like just all that, like if people want to find you.
So I work with this guy, this weird guy named John Perez. So
You're written. You're like
Mr. McConnell. It's pretty sweet. As if you want to look at my blog, that's quid. So that's one word. QUID est at or .wordpress.com. And I'm on Facebook, Matthew Rose. I'm on Twitter, which is also quid est. And that's about it because I don't have a smartphone, and all the other things involve smartphones.
You write for Catholic Exchange, right?
I write for Catholic Exchange.
What is Catholic Exchange for people who don't really know?
So Catholic Exchange is kind of like how can I put it? It's kind of like articles on like a wide range of topics of Catholic interest of various kinds. There's saint lives, there's scripture reflections, there's historical things, there's spiritual, prayerful, all these kinds of things like that. And it's run by Sophia Institute Press, if you'll have heard of Sophia Institute Press, which also runs Crisis magazine, which used to be a print magazine. Now it's all online. So they're kind of their big things. So they have a Sophia Institute, there's like books that they publish, and then there's Catholic Exchange and Crisis. So those are kind of the big things that they run. And so, yeah.
Did they just search you up as Matthew Rose on Catholic Exchange, or like?
Yeah, or Matthew B. Rose. I don't know what to pop up. Probably Matthew B. Rose is what I'm under there for.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate it. If you like the podcast, please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/badcatholicdads. Shout outs this week. Do you guys have any shout out? Or Derek, do you have any shout outs this week?
No, just everyone that bared with us, and just with hey, to Chris's new baby, man.
Yes. Shout out. Let's just do shout out to Chris. So the third guy we got part of the team this summer had just had his second baby. You say third baby?
Mm-hmm. I didn't say third.
No, I said I saw it online. I don't know.
Yeah, second baby. So shout out to Chris. Prayer requests. Please pray for my daughter, who's not feeling too well at the moment. She hasn't been feeling well for a couple days now, days. I don't know. So shout out. That's my prayer request. Derek, do you have a prayer request?
Just that the Holy Spirit continues to move, especially for this third leg of the work camp stretch. That keeps moving well, because it's been going well. So, Matt, what about you? Any prayer requests?
Family would be good, just to make sure my wife's pregnancy goes well, and that the birth is safe, and all those kinds of fun things like that. And for the school year starting up soon, so we got less than a month before the kids walk through the door. So
when do we officially go back? It's probably bad.
I have no idea. I don't know. I looked at one point and I wasn't sure. I don't even know what classes I'm teaching. I know what class I'm teaching.
People who work with us and they didn't know either. So yes, we're on a great start, right?
There's a new person who's joining the department. She's like, "Do you know what class I'm in or nothing like that?" And I'm like, "No." You would think I would know, but no.
We'll get to it. If you like the podcast, please go to iTunes and leave us a review, or leave us a review wherever you listen to the podcast. It really does help out the show for visibility. So go ahead and leave us a review. If you do leave us a review, we do read it on air if you leave a message with it. I do want to shout out, we did get a new review recently, 5-star review, but they didn't leave a message. But thank you all. Anyways, thank you so much. You can find us on iOS, SoundCloud, Google Play, all the jazz, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Thank you guys. Oh, Matt, thank you so much again. Appreciate it, man.
No problem. Thanks.
Derek, bye.
NFP out, man.
Just waiting to say that this whole time.
This whole thing was for that. Matt, thank you.
Matt,
no problem.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry that it went a little longer than maybe you expected. I didn't realize.
Okay.
For some reason, I was not looking at how long we were going, and
it was just a good conversation too. It was really interesting to hear this, and I was
So I don't know.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Your kids are probably waiting for their dad to put them to bed.
Listen, you could tell your wife though, "Hey, honey, at least I was awake this time." Yeah.
That's true.
All right, man. We'll catch up soon. I'll talk to you next time.
Take care, Matt.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we'll find out when we start. soon.
Yeah, seriously.
My guess, my official guess is like the 22nd ish area. But we'll see.
I looked at some point because I saw like I went to like the calendar that like the parents have access to or something like that.
Too, and I saw first day for freshmen is like
I saw the first day. I kind of like estimated like
just like an estimate.
earlier that week or something like that. I figured that was the week that we, yeah.
Well, anyway. All right, Matt.
You should just start before that, yeah. So.
See you.
Night, Matt. Thanks.
All right, take care. Thanks.
Derek, dude, I'm so sorry.
No, hey, I'm sorry for you, man. You got your stuff, so you have to wake up early tomorrow.
Cool. No, it's cool because so Monday I slept really late. Tuesday I slept really even later than this. And then last night I was like, okay, I'm gonna get some really good sleep. Or Sunday, sorry. Sunday I slept really late. Monday I slept. Last night I was like, I'm gonna get good sleep. So I'm kind of used to it. It's just taking naps in the middle of the day after I get off. So it'll be fine.
You'll be able to like it. No, that's good. That's
So.
good. We got the godparents coming over for Blaze's birthday on Friday. So
Oh, nice.
yeah. So we're doing. I have to go shopping.
We'll have to. Oh man, Blaze, how old is he turning now?
3.
Wow. Oh yeah, he's right. He's about a year older than my son. That's right. That's cool.
I honestly thought he was peeing on the floor this morning when the toilet was leaking everywhere.
Is he trained already or not?
Yeah,
yet?
dude. No, he's good, man. He wears his undies. He's good.
Let's see. I was thinking of topics for the next couple ones. I think we're good. I want to do. I want to recap your couple weeks work camp. How to deal with the haters, as we would call it. Because it's so funny. Because when I read your post that happened to you, I was like, I think that would be a good conversation.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I haven't even read all the reply. It was one of those things where I was so aggravated and I just wrote it and I'm like, I'm just gonna let it go because it's just gonna irritate me, and I just let it go.
It was awesome.
And then I got people at work, some people just reaching out to. It was really the feedback was really good, just from people sending me messages, like priests that I used to know, and it was just like it was really nice, and it kind of, I don't know, I didn't know how to react to it, but it was very nice feedback of it. It wasn't something I was looking for. It was something that just really bothered me, and I was sleep deprived, and I don't know. I was thinking back, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't even put that out there, but it happened. So
yeah, no, it was good. It was awesome to see so many people like just kind of defend you, and it's so funny because I've recently just like been hearing more and more kind of about people who turn away people even within the church,
Yeah.
And it's so funny that your message came up and I was like, man, it like really is a thing. I think it'd be great to talk about like, and what is our response as dads,
Well, yeah, exactly. And as like how we should be loving to people. How do we bring that? Because people were bringing stuff up to me about their problems that they've had about like being called out too. My one good friend John, he was just telling me about his thing where he got torn apart with it, and he was newly coming back to the church, and that hurt him like a lot. So
yeah, that's definitely happened to my close friends.
Yeah, I think it would be a good conversation to have.
The Richmond diocese, man. The Arlington diocese is a different beast than other dioceses, dude. Like you just go a little bit down south.
Yeah,
flip flops and board shorts all day long, boy.
It's funny because you do have the rich kind of out here, the higher class, I guess is a way to put it.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we need to do an episode with Chris when he's ready, kind of our traditional birthday.
Oh, absolutely.
And then so we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. So
yeah, and I think the one in California will work out. Like we're trying to.
Yeah, let me know if that works out. I would love to figure. When are you guys leaving officially? Hello? No, I can't hear you, brother. So I'll just let you go there. We'll talk soon though. Sounds good. Bye.